How many times have you opened your heart to a man, only to watch his interest fade right after? That slow, sinking feeling in your chest when you realize he's pulling away, right after you thought things were finally real? If this has happened to you, stay right here, because today you're going to understand why. Not because you did something wrong, but because no one ever taught you the hidden psychology behind emotional attraction. Give me a few minutes, and by the end of this video, you'll hold something far more powerful than charm or beauty: emotional leverage. It's the quiet strength that awakens lasting desire in a man's mind. Not for a few days, but for years. But I'll warn you now, this truth isn't soft or sweet. It might sting, because what I'm about to tell you goes directly against everything society teaches about love. So before we begin, subscribe, hit the bell, and stay until the end. Because once you understand this, you'll never chase love again. You'll attract it, naturally, effortlessly, like a magnet. For decades, I've worked with women who are intelligent, successful, and emotionally generous. And yet, they keep repeating one simple mistake. They think that confessing their deepest feelings will bring closeness, that opening up completely will make him feel safe. But in reality, it often triggers the exact opposite reaction. The moment you say, "You mean everything to me," or "I can't imagine my life without you," something subtle shifts in his mind. His body might still be near you, but emotionally he starts to step back. Why? Because on a subconscious level, the male brain doesn't register that confession as love. It registers it as loss of mystery. And once mystery dies, desire soon follows. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist not only persists, it grows." And in relationships, what you chase runs. Men don't lose interest because they're cruel. They lose it because certainty kills the thrill of discovery. For millions of years, the male brain evolved to pursue. It's wired for challenge, conquest, and curiosity. When he feels he's won you completely, when there's nothing left to learn, no new layer to uncover, his biology whispers, "Mission complete." It's not logic, it's instinct. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, "That's toxic masculinity," listen closely. Understanding instinct doesn't mean accepting bad behavior. It means using awareness as your advantage. Because once you know how this system works, you can operate above it, with intelligence, not manipulation. Let's look at the emotional chain reaction. When a woman expresses total dependence, when her words sound like need instead of choice, the man's subconscious interprets that as pressure. Pressure creates emotional resistance, and resistance kills connection. But when you express your affection from inner stability, when your presence says, "I choose you because I enjoy you, not because I need you," something incredible happens. He relaxes. His instinct flips from flight to pursuit. This is not about playing hard to get. It's about radiating the energy of someone who is whole on her own. Because men are not drawn to emptiness. They're drawn to fullness, to a woman who glows because she already has a life, dreams, and peace that exist outside of him. Think of emotional energy like oxygen. When you fill the room with "I need you," you suffocate both of you. When you fill the room with "I'm already alive, and I'd love you to join me," you invite him to breathe with you. That is the difference between dependence and magnetism. In one, you hand over your power. In the other, you embody it. Jung believed that attraction is the meeting of two unconscious energies, each mirroring what the other lacks. So when you come from wholeness, you awaken the part of him that seeks wholeness too. You become not his responsibility, but his mirror. Let me give you an example. Years ago, a client of mine, let's call her Elena, came to me heartbroken. She said, "He pulled away after I told him he's my whole world." I asked her, "Before you met him, what was your world made of?" She was silent. She couldn't answer. That silence said everything. She had unknowingly made him the center of her orbit. And no human being can breathe under that kind of gravity. It's not romantic, it's heavy. The truth is, men value what they must earn. Not because they're cold, but because effort creates meaning. Psychologically, value and effort are inseparable. If something requires no effort, the brain subconsciously labels it as less important. That's why relationships born from self-abandonment rarely last. Because when you give everything before it's been asked for, there's no emotional journey left to take. Now here's where most people misunderstand. Keeping your power does not mean being distant, manipulative, or withholding affection. It means giving from abundance, not emptiness. It means loving fully without surrendering your identity in the process. Because love without self-respect isn't love. It's emotional surrender disguised as devotion. And when you blur that line, your nervous system goes into survival mode. You start to overthink, overtext, overgive, all in the hope of regaining control. But every attempt to control only pushes him further away. That's why awareness is freedom. When you understand the neurobiology behind attraction, you stop begging for love. You start inspiring it. So let's make something clear. This isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about timing, tone, and intention. The male brain processes emotion through action, not confession. That means the more you verbalize your need, the less space he has to act from his own desire. Love him, but don't collapse into him. Show warmth, but never worship. Because the woman who says, "I love you, but I am whole without you," activates respect. The woman who says, "I can't live without you," activates panic. And the difference between those two sentences defines the future of every relationship. Let's go even deeper. Why do so many women confess too much? Too soon? Why do they pour their hearts out long before the man has reached the same emotional depth? Because society taught women that emotional transparency equals strength, that the faster you reveal your heart, the faster love will arrive. But in reality, it's not the speed of your confession that creates connection. It's the alignment of emotional readiness. Men and women fall in love on different timelines. While a woman's emotions often deepen through intimacy and conversation, a man's attachment builds through time, effort, and shared experiences. When you confess before his heart has reached that level, you interrupt his natural process. It's not rejection, it's overwhelm. You're handing him emotions he hasn't yet earned the capacity to carry, and instinctively he steps back to regain equilibrium. That's why emotional patience is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the ability to let connection grow organically without forcing it into existence. Because love is not a race, it's a rhythm. Carl Jung described love as the meeting of two souls who recognize each other's depth, but only when both are ready. If one arrives too soon, the other doesn't see the reflection clearly. They see distortion. Now here's what's truly fascinating from a psychological perspective. When you confess everything too early, you rob him of one of the strongest neurological triggers for desire, dopaminic anticipation. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter of motivation, spikes not when the reward is received, but when it's anticipated. The mystery, the uncertainty, the gradual revelation, that's what keeps him engaged. The moment you remove all uncertainty, his brain relaxes. And relaxed brains do not chase. You see, attraction thrives on tension, not drama, but emotional polarity. The gentle push and pull between security and curiosity, between warmth and independence, between "I like you" and "but I'm still my own universe." Men are not drawn to women who are perfect. They're drawn to women who remain enigmatic, who carry a world within them, passions, opinions, purpose, that he wants to explore but never fully own. That is why you must always keep your identity alive. Your friends, your goals, your hobbies, your ambitions, those are not distractions from love. They are what make you magnetic. Because when you have a full life, you become the adventure he wants to be part of, not the obligation he fears to maintain. Let me tell you something I've observed in decades of therapy. Men don't fall in love with women who make them feel needed. They fall in love with women who make them feel inspired. When he sees that you choose him from abundance, not from lack, when he realizes you could walk away, but you stay because you want to, it ignites something deep inside him: respect, admiration, desire. But when he senses that you depend on him for your emotional survival, his instinct changes from desire to defense. He starts protecting himself because subconsciously, dependence feels like danger. It tells his mind, if I fail, she breaks. And no man wants that responsibility. You must never make anyone the guardian of your happiness. They can enhance it, but they should never control it. Emotional independence is the foundation of lasting love, because from independence grows attraction, and from attraction grows respect. Now let's address something important. The illusion that saying no will scare him away. It won't. It will make him take you seriously. Boundaries don't repel love, they refine it. They tell the other person, I respect myself enough not to shrink for connection. Say no when it's needed. Keep your commitments. Value your own time, because your availability defines your value. A woman who says, I have plans, let's meet tomorrow, radiates self-respect. A woman who cancels everything just to see him radiates fear of loss. And fear of loss is never attractive. It's contagious. Jung once wrote that love becomes mature only when it unites two individuals who preserve their individuality. That's what real emotional independence means. You can be vulnerable, open, affectionate, yet still complete. That's what keeps his interest alive. Because he senses that you are not trying to merge with him, you are inviting him into your world. And that invitation is far more compelling than any declaration. Now let's talk about the paradox that changes everything. When you stop needing him, he starts needing you. When your happiness no longer depends on his presence, your energy transforms. You radiate calm confidence instead of anxious intensity. And that calmness acts like gravity, pulling him in. He begins to realize, she's not here because she has to be. She's here because she chooses to be. And that realization is what makes a man fall deeply, enduringly in love. Because nothing is more attractive than freedom. The kind of love that feels like a choice, not a cage. So here's the truth you must remember. You never lose a man by being too strong. You lose him by abandoning yourself for him. Your love should never cost you your peace, your confidence, or your dreams. Because when you trade your identity for someone else's attention, you don't get love. You get dependency dressed as devotion. And that's not what you deserve. You deserve a love that grows beside you, not within your shadow. A love that admires your independence, not your obedience. A love that says, I see you, not I own you. When you build that foundation inside yourself, you'll never need to chase again. Because the right man will find your strength irresistible. So if you're listening to this right now, I want you to make a promise to yourself, not to him. Promise that you will never again beg for love. Promise that you will never again hand over your self-worth just to be chosen. Promise that you will become the kind of woman who chooses herself first and lets love meet her there. Because when you do, everything changes. You no longer fear being alone. You no longer confuse attention with affection. And you no longer believe that giving all of yourself is the price of being loved. True love is not begged for. It is recognized between two complete people who see each other clearly. And once you embody that truth, you'll never have to keep a man again. You'll simply be the woman no man ever wants to lose. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more psychological insights inspired by Carl Jung and the timeless art of self-worth. Because when you understand your own mind, you master love without losing yourself in the process.